Certainly it's good to see all of you here. Appreciate the great singing and everyone singing out. Those who led us in song, thank you so much. There were a number of songs that don't think I've ever heard before, and it's always a joy to hear new songs and to learn new songs. Thank you so much for your participation in the song service this evening. You know, if you're writing a book or directing a movie, you have the benefit of choosing the setting for whatever you might need in order to tell your story. You can choose the location, you can choose the time, it can be past, present, or future, whatever it might be to tell your story. Well, I'm going to borrow from that this evening, and I'm going to take tonight's lesson, and we're going to go back a few years in time. So it's not January the 1st, 2023. Okay, we're going to go back a few years to pre-GPS days. Okay, we're going to get back to the time where we're not riding around with talking vehicles. That was only on television with Kit. And you didn't have it walking around in your pocket and all of that stuff. So we're in those days, okay? Now, men, I need to tell you something. You don't have to listen to tonight's lesson. I've never said that before. I do not believe. I've never said that before. So, but I'm letting you know you worked hard tonight, but that's not really the reason that I'm giving you the next few minutes off. You won't understand the lesson. Okay? Men, you can zone out for a minute because you will not understand this lesson. Now, ladies, let me talk to you for a minute. Pre-GPS days, were you ever traveling along and you think, I don't know where I am? And you say, well, I'm lost. And I have to find out where I'm going, so I'm willing to stop and ask directions. And you did that, so you can say, okay, where did I go wrong? How do I get to my destination, right? Now, ladies, you're probably going to have to explain this to the men in your life later tonight. I apologize for that. But men, let's suppose just for a moment, so tune back in. Let's suppose just for a moment, pre-GPS days, that you realize that maybe you don't know where you're at. I mean, you're 5.5 hours into a 3-hour trip, and you're thinking, okay, maybe I need to stop and ask. Before you'll ever stop and ask anyone, you have to admit something, right? I'm lost. You're not going to stop and ask directions if you don't think that you're lost, or if you're telling yourself, I'm not lost. I know I was pointing in the direction of the sun earlier today, and I'm still pointing in the direction of the sun. I can't answer that. I'm not a scientist, but I'm not lost until eventually maybe you're willing to admit, I'm lost. And then and only then are you willing to take the steps to find out how to get to where you're going. Have you ever heard someone say that when it comes to your salvation? I've heard people say before, you cannot save someone until they're lost. Now, we're all lost, I realize that, but you cannot, with one that you're talking to, one, or even yourself, you cannot get saved until you first get lost. First realize that there's something that I need. You think about all of the people that you read about in the Bible. Pharaoh in the book of Exodus, he didn't know he was lost. He didn't care for the decisions he was making. You think about Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel's day. He didn't care for the decisions he was making. He didn't know he was lost. You think about people that you read in the New Testament. They're not going to do anything that they need to do to be saved from their sins until they first realize that they need to do something, that they're lost. Jesus said in Mark chapter 16, speaking to his apostles, in verse 14 beginning, he appeared to the 11. Judas is no more at this time. They sat at the table and rebuked their unbelief and hardness of heart because they did not believe those who had seen him after he had risen. And he said to them, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. He who believes and is baptized will be saved, but he who does not believe will be condemned. If everyone in the world understood that they were lost, then you could take that one verse and baptize everyone and convert the world. But there's a lot of people, they just don't realize it. They don't see the need. We need to, of course, try to help them. But it begins at home. It begins with those of us who are in this assembly this evening. Will you do an honest examination? Was it 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5? While Josh comes and leads us in this song, will you do an honest examination of your life and ask, am I saved according to the Scriptures? Or may it be that I'm lost? Don't chance it. Don't chance it. If we can help you to know for certain, based on the Word of God, that you're saved, we want to have that opportunity. But you must make it known as we stand and as we sing.